Good morning, students.
Good morning,
Good
sir.
morning, sir.
So, in the previous classes, we were discussing about the cloud computing technologies. Okay. So, in general, we can say that cloud computing requires coexistence and co-working of several technologies and service providers. Okay. Uh, so we will discuss today the cloud computing ecosystem and cloud computing architecture. Okay. So the cloud computing architecture. Okay. So as I'm not able to write here, I'm closing this. Okay. So the cloud computing architecture, we'll see it is in a layer form, which at the top layer, we have users using client applications, through browser, desktop, mobile, etc. Okay. So this is the highest layer, and then comes your cloud services. Okay. And then comes your cloud applications. Then your software platforms. Then your infrastructure layer servers. And then finally, this consists of basically this consists of your database, storage, CPU, etc. So database, CPU, storage, etc. All right. So this is cloud computing layered architecture. So cloud computing layered architecture. Okay. So the examples of cloud services can be your applied to different domains. We'll take domain specific examples: marketing, education, healthcare, government, etc. Okay. So in market examples are Microsoft, okay, Maropost, then HubPost, etc. or Adobe Marketing. And in education, it is SlideRocket, then Ratatype, AWS, etc. And in healthcare, you have ClearData, IBM Cloud, etc. In government, you have GI Cloud, Government of India Cloud for IT consolidation and shared services, and for citizen services. Okay, you have GI Cloud for various services, basically citizen services, shared services, IT consolidation, etc. Okay, so this comes a part of IT services layer. Okay, cloud services layer. Then if you look at the cloud applications, categories, in fact application categories, that is right, application categories, application categories. There are broadly three. That is SaaS, software as a service, then infrastructure as a service, then platform as a service. Okay, platform as a service. So in software as a service, you have your examples can be your Dropbox. Okay, Dropbox. Then you have Cisco WebEx, GoToMeeting, then you have Google G Suite, Google, G Suite. Okay, so these all come under your software as a service. Okay, software as a service. Okay, software as a service. Then in infrastructure as a service, you have your what you say, Google Compute Engine, Google Compute Engine. Okay, and then Rackspace, Microsoft Azure, and then you have DigitalOcean, etc. So these all come under infrastructure as a service. We'll discuss what do they mean. Okay, but the beginning, let us take some examples. See that you may have come across these names. So we are trying to categorically put them into one of these cloud application categories. Okay, that's the reason why we are taking example first. Then in platform as a service, we have Google App Engine, Heroku, and Force.com, right? And you can have you have Amazon Web Service, Elastic, AWS Elastic, then Beanstalk, etc. Okay, Beanstalk, etc. So these fall under different categories of cloud applications, right? So you can choose to explore one or more of these cloud application categories to make yourself more sellable in the cloud business domain. Okay, there are a number of development platforms, number of application development applications, and many other things, security, billing. So several opportunities are available within each of these categories of cloud application. So it's up to you to explore one or more of it. Okay, so that's the reason why I gave these examples at the beginning to understand the different domains, and within the domains what are the models available, or what are the products available. Okay, so on the other side, you can say, students, please ask if you have any questions. We are just taking the very basic of it. Okay, so the cloud applications, you forgot to write. Cloud applications is an internet-based program. Okay, so what is in cloud application? So what's in cloud application? What's in cloud application? How do you define? So it's an internet-based application. It's an internet-based application, or you can say program, where some or all of the processing logic, and data storage is processed in the cloud. Okay, it's an internet-based program where some or all of the processing logic and data storage is processed in the cloud, is known as the cloud application. So what happens? The user interacts with the application, right? So the application, the program, which consists of the processing logic and data storage and hosted on the cloud. A user interacts with these set of programs through web browser or mobile application, right? So from the user's perspective, the cloud application behaves like a standard website, right? What is it? So from user perspective, the cloud application behaves like a standard website, but the computing and data processing are handled by the cloud via API. Is this clear? So we can write that from important to note is that from user's perspective, the cloud application behaves like a standard website, but the computing and data processing, that means the processing logic and data storage, okay, but the computing, and data processing are handled by cloud via APIs in a transparent manner, right? So this is very important. So cloud application, and how user accesses cloud application through a browser, and how the middleware provides the background computing and data processing through cloud as a single system. I mean, despite of where it is going and how it is going, user is unaware about. Okay, so this transparency is provided through a middleware layer. Any questions, students? So one minute, I am coming in. Just a minute. Give me a minute. Just a minute. हाँ कुरैशी जी, आप आए हैं ड्यूटी? अच्छा, आज जेसीबी चल रहा है क्या यहाँ पे? अच्छा, फिर वो कैसे उखाड़ रहे हैं वो पेड़ जो है यहाँ पे? अच्छा, तो हमारा हॉस्टल का BH3 के सामने जो ऐसे पेड़ है सब कटे के छोटे छोटे करके छोड़ दिए, तो उसका क्या हुआ? हाँ, तो करा देंगे। आप तो 4 महीने से बोल ही रहे हैं करा देंगे, कब कराएंगे? हाँ, आप हमेशा ऐसे ही करते हो। नहीं करवाइए ना, हॉस्टल के सामने पूरा गंदा पड़ा हुआ है, कितने बार हम कटवाएंगे? जंगल जंगल 4 महीने पहले कटा था, उसके नीचे का जो जो छोटा छोटा रह गया था ना, पेड़िया का पेड़ जो रह गए थे, जड़े, उनको निकालेंगे तो साफ दिखेगा ना, रहने लायक। तो भूतिया बंगला जैसे दिख रहा है वो। हाँ, उसको ठीक कीजिए जल्दी।
सर कॉलेज खुल रहा है?
हाँ, पता नहीं कॉलेज खुल रहा है कि नहीं, बट साफ सफाई तो रखना है ना, कॉलेज में कोई नहीं है करके थोड़ी साफ गंदा रखेंगे।
ठीक है सर।
राइट। So, so the difference between SaaS, infrastructure as a service, and platform as a service can be understood this way. So SaaS, basically the third party. We took the examples. You can take those examples into here as third party cloud applications. Okay, these are essentially third party cloud applications, and these provide, the SaaS service providers provide hardware plus software, right? Remember, this is very important. Provide hardware and software for running the applications. For running the applications. For running the application. So the SaaS service providers take the complete ownership of hardware and software for running the applications. Okay. Whereas in infrastructure as a service, these are also third-party cloud applications. These are also third-party cloud applications, and which provide infrastructure plus support, but the software designer supplies the middleware. Supplies the middleware. Okay. And you know, the middleware that sits over the operating system and below the cloud application. Okay, above the operating system and below the cloud application, and it provides extended features of operating system functions, and make the programming simple. Make the programming simple, right? Also, it provides a host of services built into it. So you can refer to any book or the web resource to understand what a cloud middleware consists of. So I repeat, middleware sits above operating system and below the cloud application, and it provides extended features of operating system functions, and make the programming simpler, right? And in platform as a service, okay, these are similar to IaaS, but it includes It includes software plus middleware plus OS, right? So the developer provides application and support, for example, your IDE, okay, IDE, and then SDK, then you can say deployment and management tools, deployment and management tools, okay. So are you able to understand the basic differences between these three categories of cloud applications? Students, are you able to understand the differences between the basic differences between the three categories of cloud applications?
So,
Yeah, it's basically who provides what in terms of its functionalities, right?
yes, sir.
You can also put these examples SAS, IaaS, PaaS below this, below the respective items, so that it will make more complete. Okay. Any questions here?
No, sir.
Okay. So then we'll talk about cloud ecosystem. The cloud ecosystem. So the cloud ecosystem has several actors in it. Okay. So this ecosystem we'll discuss one by one. So the first one is users or cloud subscribers. Okay. So these are the people who use cloud services. Right? What are the cloud services? The three categories of cloud services: IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. So users or cloud subscribers are the users who use cloud services such as SaaS, IaaS और PaaS. तो आप देखोगे कि ये तीन जो यहाँ पे हमने लिखा है SAS, IaaS and PaaS, इन तीनों में से ही आप लोग यूज कर रहे हो, right or not? Either you use Dropbox or you use Cisco WebEx, use Google App Engine, or you use Microsoft Azure. So what you are trying to say here is that the users or cloud subscribers are the users of these categories of cloud services such as SaaS, IaaS, or platform as a service. Clear? So then the second player in this ecosystem are the brokers. What a broker does, basically, user will say that I need a service. User will specify its requirement, and at the bottom the service is available by the provider. Now a broker's job is to it acts as an intermediary and finds the required service on behalf of the user and connects and does rest of the things. Okay, so broker is nothing but an intermediary. Right? It's an intermediary. Represents their interests. मतलब कि there can be different types of brokers. Okay, so these brokers represent their interests. Okay, and combine the user's requirements, combines user requirements into a standard requirement, standardized requirement, which can later be used for resource discovery. Okay, then the third player is the service conceptualizer. So it is the component which constructs an application and presents to users and brokers. So it constructs an application and presents to users and brokers. मतलब कि जो सर्विस कॉन्सेप्चुअलाइज जो करता है, जो एप्लीकेशन डेवलप करता है एंड उसको एक प्रोडक्ट की तरह पेश करता है यूजर्स को और ब्रोकर को, उसको हम कहते हैं सर्विस कॉन्सेप्चुअलाइजर. Right? So this entity, the service conceptualizer entity, also hosts the service developed by him, like on the cloud, and act as a cloud service provider. So service conceptualizer सर्विस क्लाउड सर्विस प्रोवाइडर की तरह भी एक्ट करता है, क्योंकि वो जो एप्लीकेशन डेवलप करता है या सर्विस डेवलप करता है उसको क्लाउड पे होस्ट करता है, राइट, और यूजर को एवं ब्रोकर को पेश करता है. सो दैट्स व्हाई क्लाउड conceptualizer can also be referred to as cloud service provider, right? So fourth is the resource allocator. Resource allocator. So it plays the role of liaising between users and the cloud service provider. So it plays the role of liaisonner between the users and cloud service providers. Right? Because it liaises between users and cloud service providers, so it also ensures the service level agreements. Right? Remember? So it also ensures the service level agreement between the user and the cloud service providers. Okay? Any question? So fifth player is cloud provider. Cloud provider. It's the is an entity who provides cloud सर्विसेज, ठीक है। और ये सर्विस कैटेगरीज जैसे इसके अंदर आता है, सर्विस कैटेगरी IaaS भी हो सकता है, राइट, ये जो हमने 3 पढ़ा था, SaaS भी हो सकता है, IaaS भी हो सकता है, PaaS भी हो सकता है, ठीक है। नेक्स्ट एंटिटी आता है सर्विस रिक्वेस्ट एग्जामिनर and controller, right? So it does the job of allocation, reallocation of resources based on predefined parents. So it's basically resource allocation, does the job of allocation or reallocation of resources. Resources means here it they are hardware resource, software resource, like that. So it examines the requirement, priority, and so on and so forth, and controls their assignment on the resources, right? So 7th player is the pricer. Pricer means the billing entity, right? So pricing and accounts of use. So does the job of pricing and accounting related to service uses, okay. And 8, this is the most important part, that is the virtual machine monitor, right, or we call it as the VMM, right. So it looks after the virtual machines and their availability, right. So virtual machine is the main buzzword in cloud computing, next to service, or it is ahead of service, it is popularly known. So then you need to know more about this virtual machine and virtual machine monitor, right. So the examples of virtual machine monitors are, you can say, VMware. Examples are VMware, right, and VMware, I mean workstation, VMware workstation, VMware server, and parallels workstation, then hypervisor, etc. Okay. So these, before talking more about virtual machine monitors, okay, which basically allows to share several VMs to share a system, okay, we will discuss what are the different virtual machines, okay. So virtual machines are broadly classified into 2 types. One is process VM, the other is the system VM, right? What is a process VM? What's a process VM? Any idea, students? So it is a virtual platform. It's a virtual platform created for an individual process and destroyed as the process terminates. As the process terminates, right? So that is process VM. And system VM is it supports an operating system. It supports an operating system together with many user processes. मतलब कि आप जैसे एक VM क्रिएट करते हो तो आप उसका ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम डिफाइन करते हो, प्रोसेसर एंड अदर हार्डवेयर रिसोर्सेस आप डिफाइन करते हो, वर्चुअली डिफाइन करते हो, and that machine supports many user processes. Students, I again say that this is a technology course, so you need to work on the experiments in the sense that hands-on experience. Create a virtual machine, play around virtual machine, see that how many virtual machines that a given system accommodates, and how virtual machine, when you require virtual machine migration, how you create a process within a virtual machine, right? Many experiments you can do on your own. Fine. Of course, we have a cloud computing laboratory, but in the given situation, we will be able to give you only the assignments which you need to practice on your own. Fine, students?
Yes, sir.
So then we'll see the taxonomy of VMs. Okay. Taxonomy of VMs. So the taxonomy of VMs, taxonomy means it's a classification. Okay, it's a classification of virtual machines. As we said that we have process VMs and system VMs. We can further expand it. We can further expand it, that you can say process VMs. We are expanding the VMs further. Okay, process VMs, and here we have system VMs. So process VMs are again divided into same instruction set architecture. ISA stands for instruction set architecture, and different instruction set architecture, right? And under the same instruction set architecture, we have multi-programming process environment, and we have binary optimizers. And under the different instruction set architecture, we have dynamic translators. We have dynamic translators. dynamic translators, we have high level language VMs, HLL VMs. Okay, and on the system virtual machines, again the classification is based on same instruction set architecture and different instruction set architecture. Under same instruction set architecture, we have traditional VMs, then we have hybrid VMs, then we have hosted VMs. And in different instruction set architecture, we have whole system virtual machine, we have code signed virtual machine. Code signed virtual machine. And in this traditional VMs, we have hardware. Okay, on that we have virtual machine monitor, and on that you have application guest operating system VM. So these are virtual machines. So VM1 to VMN. Okay, and you have here application, and you have guest operating system, guest OS1, guest OSN. Okay, so what is this virtual machine monitor? We said that what is a virtual machine monitor? We said that it looks after the VMs and their availability, right? So you see here in traditional virtual machines, there is a common hardware and a virtual machine monitor which looks after the applications, the machines, virtual machines created over the common hardware, and each virtual machine runs a guest operating system and the corresponding application, right? So this is your traditional virtual machine. Similarly, hybrid virtual machine will be able to host both host operating system as well as virtual machine monitor, right? So this is your hardware, and it will have two components. One is the host OS, okay, and then you have a virtual machine monitor, same as this, okay, same as the traditional virtual machine on this side. So the only difference here is that in addition to the traditional VM, you have a host OS, okay, so which runs several applications, okay. And here in this other part of the hybrid VM, it obviously it runs it runs the guest operating system, VM, you have VM and guest operating system, and then you have application. So this is called as hybrid because it takes the features of traditional virtual machine. Okay, and in hosted VM, it has the hardware. Okay, then host operating system, then virtual machine monitor, then you have several instances of machine. So VM1, guest OS 1, application, like this. VMN, guest OS N, and application. Right? So are you able to see the difference between the system virtual machine category of what is a virtual machines and their difference? The traditional VMs, hybrid VMs, and hosted VMs. Right, students?
Yes, sir.
Host OS is one that controls the entire hardware. The operating system hosted, or the operating system hosts the virtual machine monitor. ठीक है, आप पहले में देखो ट्रेडिशनल ये में कोई होस्ट ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम है ही नहीं. ठीक है, yes, any other questions? So इसको करो, थोड़ा पढ़ोगे तो समझ में आएगा. ठीक है, you can just for information. Okay, but these are the fundamental